Let's do it. As usual, we'll start with US 500 to feel the overall market, and then we'll get into DXY, USDT dominance, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then for the second phase, we'll go over, of course, NWC and many altcoins. So let's do it. As usual, I'll go over these ones by order. If you want to go over a specific altcoin, please let me know and I would be happy to go over it, to add it to the list. Meanwhile, I'll be going over these ones one after the other, and I'll try to cover as many as possible. For US 500, as mentioned last week, and if you remember, we were here, we were looking for a bullish movement from here, and then if price breaks it upward, the bulls would take over. We got a support, price rejected the support and the resistance, and we were here for a couple of weeks. We were trading this range until or unless we break it downward. We broke it downward, and we are currently stuck inside this range. So this reminds me of this price action and this price action. We will be here inside this floor if you want floor 1, floor 2, floor 3, right? And we are currently inside this one. So for the bulls to take over or the bears to take over, we need to see a break above it or below it. Now, most probably, I'm speculating a continuation from here because as you clearly see, for example, we've got this break. So impulse, the first one, a correction, the second one, impulse again, and then this break. So we are now, if you compare this bearish movement to this bullish movement, we are currently where a break, a retest. So we are still here. So I'm still speculating this movement. So for example, this movement before the bulls take over again. And anyway, even if you don't want to compare to the previous price action, you want to focus on this structure here, we are confirmed to be bearish now. This is a major low broken downward. We are currently retesting it and we'll be expecting this bearish movement. And yes, the correction might be a bullish one like this, just like the correction previously, a bearish one before trading higher, or it might be flat, like sometimes it's flat before the bears take over again. But like in any way, or like either ways, this is simply a correction unless, of course, we break it upward again in an aggressive manner. In this case, we'll be expecting this. Meanwhile, this is just a bullish correction and we'll be expecting further bearish movement. And from a shorter term perspective, we are currently here, right? We are still inside this range. The buyers aren't in any way pushing strong. They are pushing higher and lower inside this range, only from a short-term perspective. Nice, we've got many members today. Okay, so I want to ask you a question, Ace. Ace, hope you're doing good. It is you who texted me, right? Okay, just let me know if it's you or someone using your name. Okay. And we've got Altug. Hello, Altug. And GSMJ, right? I don't know if it's correct. Mark, who else? Ishanna, hope you're doing good. Happy to see you here. So that's it for US 500. If you zoom into H4 time frame, we can see the range even cleaner. Look at this, a very clean one. Have been stuck inside this one for a while. So now, of course, like, guess what? Approaching the upper bound of this range, so we'll be expecting the bears to kick in. Bear in mind that we might be pushing higher to retest this previous structure. As mentioned, it would be a rising correction before the bears take over again, and I'm still speculating this, but we can't really know if we'll have a reversal from here or we'll be pushing higher before we trade lower. And keep in mind that we have FOMC like 2 hours from now, so it might be the catalyst of the next movement, either upward or downward. So the impulse movement would be confirmed to start, which is the low one, because we have our first impulse correction now, and then the next impulse might push price lower. It would be confirmed after a break below a swing low, right? But now, since we have a range, it would be confirmed after we break below this low. However, I prefer to see it going up, forming a new low right there, and then break it down to confirm the start of the impulse, because like this one would be already far, right? And that would be it. So I can't really add much on US 500 to feel the market, except that we are in a range and we are currently approaching the upper bound of it. Even if you break this range upward, it wouldn't be a bullish trend. It would be just as the correction, like it's still in the making, before maybe the bears will kick in again. Okay. Let's move forward to the XY as usual, also to feel the market. On monthly time frame, we are approaching a very strong demand zone. Look at this area here. It's the only consolidation inside this big movement. We also had a consolidation here. So these two zones are the strongest demand zones where we're expecting the bulls to kick in. Now I'm expecting this movement as a correction movement after this impulse movement, which we can see better from lower time frames. For now, we can still dive inside the demand before we trade higher, but I'm speculating this movement because we have a very strong support, previous year resistance, and also a demand zone. But how do we know that the buyers are finally taking over? We zoom into lower time frames. If we zoom into daily time frame, we can see that we have been bearish, right? Making lower lows and lower highs. However, lately the momentum is is getting weaker. So the bears are getting weaker because they are still pushing lower. We are still managing to make low lows, but not as strong as before. Because previously, look at this, big low lows, and you can see from the impulse on how strong the bears were. However, lately the impulse are getting smaller in size. So this one is definitely smaller than this one, and this one is more flat than this one, right? Steep, flat. This is how you see the shift in momentum in action before it happens, so you can prepare yourself that we might be having a potential reversal. And I'm calling it a potential reversal because we are still bearish. Okay, so we are still bearish until we aren't. Okay, so we are still bearish, and you can still trade lower and lower and lower, and even break this one down and keep on trading lower unless we break above the previous high, which we can see even better from from H4 time frame. Yes, we broke above this high. From a short-term perspective, the buys are kicking in, but it might be just a fake out, a simple correction before we push lower again. For the bulls to take over, in my opinion, we need to see a break not only above these highs, even though I have my alert here, but just to prepare myself that we might be having this reversal. I want a break above this area here, which we can see very clearly from daily time frame. If you make it appear there, this is it. We'll be breaking above this entire structure, this entire previous range. Once we break it upward, expect a movement higher till around this area, a supply zone, previously a support, now a resistance, also lining up with this upper trend line. Let me make it in a different color so we can differentiate it from this rising one. That's it. Okay, so I'm expecting this bullish movement till here, and then what I told you from weekly and monthly, if you remember, I'm expecting this movement after this impulse as a correction movement before the bears kick in and push the price lower again. That's it for the XY. Let me remove these ones and remove this one. Now let's get into USDT dominance. Crypto Cat, happy to see you here. Hope you're doing good. And Jabs as well, Dusty Jabs. Glad to see you here. Okay, let's move forward to USDT dominance to feel the crypto markets. We have a resistance right there, a support right here. If you zoom out, we can see that price previously rejected this resistance, which we have marked. And as you can see, I have a layout for Newscrypto, so I haven't changed anything from last week. I'm just updating it now, live. And let me take a sip. Cheers, everyone. Yummy. Okay, so now we are around this previous major low, which we can see clearly from daily. If we get this daily candle to close below it, it would be a great signal that we'll be seeing a continuation to the downside. From H4 time frame, if you remember last week, previously the bulls took over by breaking above this one, and then we got stuck inside a consolidation in the shape of a head and shoulders. That's our head, left and right. and then we broke the neckline downward. So starting from here, we know that we have been bearish from a short-term perspective because we still have this major high from H4. Let me make it in blue so we can differentiate it better. That's it. So we had our impulse, a correction, and then an impulse again. We might be having a bullish movement now, but it would be a correction just like previously before the bears kick in again and push the price lower. Because now this low is broken from H4 time frame. We can see it as a big candle, but it would be even better or extra confirmation if it is also broken from daily. So let's wait for this daily candle to close and to see. Anyway, the bears are clearly kicking in, and this one is definitely an impulse to start a new trend. However, this is just what? A big correction movement. This would be our impulse, and now we are in a correction phase before maybe we see the next impulse movement again, and then finally to see a full long-term reversal. But for now, let me delete these ones to keep it clean. You know what? I'll delete this one as well. I'll move it a little bit lower till this, but since we have already our blue one, 8.1, let's delete it. But this is a very strong support zone, which has been respected previously. I'll make it a little bit higher to cover these ones, lining up with this demand zone. So I'll go for 8.15. And yeah, this is it. So as we trade lower from here now, I'll be looking for a reversal right there, as I mentioned. To say that, yeah, now the bull run is starting, we need to see a break above this big wedge pattern, which we can see in orange, right? So I'm speculating this movement, this movement, and then a big bullish movement upward to form a new low right here, and then a break below it, and this would signal that the start of the next bull run, and to see USDT dominance going lower from a long-term perspective. For now, this is just a consolidation inside a bigger consolidation, right? So this is just a flat correction movement inside this big rising broadening wedge. Uh, DJ, hope you're doing good. Happy New Year to you too. So enough with USDT dominance. Let's move into Bitcoin. Okay, daily time frame, we have been bearish, of course, we know that. Trading inside this falling channel, we had our impulse, a correction, and an impulse, and we are currently in a correction phase. It's a flat one. This reminds me very much of this previous one. So if price would respect the previous one, then we are currently right here, Okay, and if you want, I can compare it for you. We have our impulse, a correction, and we might be seeing this next impulse movement upward before we see the next bearish movement to push price lower. Okay, so I'm speculating this, and to confirm it, if you zoom in, we can see it even better. This is where the big impulse movement started. Let me make it in a different color, green, and let's copy and paste. That's it. All right. If you break above this, which would be the 17K, and if you extend it, it will be lining up with these highs and lows, right? So this is it. So if you break above this zone, then we're expecting something like this, like it happened previously. It would be a big correction before the bears take over again if we break below this zone. And of course vice versa, if we break below the lower bound of it, which would be right here around like 16K 200 300. If we break it down, we will be expecting further bearish movement. It would be just from a short-term perspective till around this low of this big channel. So we are in a range inside a bigger range, the exact same thing as we saw on USDT dominance, right? A small range inside a bigger range. This break of this range will signal or identify the next potential movement, if it would be higher or it would be lower. And then here on here, of course, we'll make the update later on, and we'll see how it goes. If you zoom in lower to H4 time frame, For the bulls to take over, as mentioned, we need to see a break above this zone. Let me read this one. This one's from daily already. So if you break above this area, above the 17K, expect further bullish movement. If you zoom into H1, we can see that we are currently trading inside this rising channel. We have our correction movements and our impulse movements, right? So now I'm speculating a correction. It might be from here, it might be like from here. Okay, but it would be just a correction, and I'm calling it a correction, just like this, just like this. So even if you have a low, even if you have a low here and it's broken downward, okay, like this, it would just be a correction. Look at this one. Low broken downward, just a correction. Low broken downward, just a correction, right? So we were bearish previously. We broke above this head and shoulders, inverse head and shoulders. Now we are bullish. So we have our impulse, correction, impulse. So we might be having a correction. So if Bitcoin starts to go down from here, don't worry, it would be just a correction. We would be bullish until or unless we break below this entire zone. Exact same opposite we saw on USDT dominance. If we trade higher, it would be a correction before the bears kick in again. Okay. So that's it. We'll be bullish, and for the bulls to remain in control or to take over from a longer term perspective, from a medium term perspective, we need to see a break above this area right there. Let's go to Ethereum. A very similar movements. Okay, let me extend. You know what? I will not extend it. I'll just simply remove this one. You know what? I'll delete it. Let's keep it clean. So on Ethereum, we have been bearish, of course, big bearish movement, big correction, a steep bearish movement, and we have been stuck right there. Okay, so it's looking good so far. We have a minor support resistance here, which we already saw in orange. So we broke it, are breaking it downward. And if you remember last week, I mentioned that even if we break above this, we'll be expecting a bullish movement till this supply zone. This is a very important zone that might be pushing the price lower. As you can see, I have my alert right here, right? In case it will drop lower, it would be a correction and to catch the next impulse movement upward. So just like Bitcoin, but this one is flat, while Bitcoin is a rising one, is a steeper one. We have our impulse, correction, impulse. So we might be having a complex or like a boring correction like this, maybe. In this case, anyway, I'll be looking for a buy right there. Meanwhile, if we break upward, bear in mind that we've got this supply and this resistance. So this entire zone here is a massive resistance zone. Okay, can't really say much. How do you know that the correction is about to start? Simply if we break below this low. Okay, it might be a simple correction, a small one, just like this before the bulls take over again. So it might be like this before the bulls take over again, or it might be a complex one, as you see, just like this one, a bigger one till the slow area before we trade higher. That's why I have my alert like in the middle. So starting from here, I'll start to look for buy setups. Meanwhile, of course, we are bullish. Okay. Uh, Okay, I'm checking the chat. Okay, no questions. And yeah, we got a new member. I'm not sure if it's Mete or Met or what. Hope you're doing good. I'm glad to see you here. Like since like I don't know how to say your name, that means that you are new. So like you are welcome to these sessions. Feel free to ask any questions. Like just above this live session, like thread, you will find a section called Members Talk. So you can ask anything there. Okay. Okay, so now we've done the first phase. We went over US 500, DXY, USDT dominance, Bitcoin, Ethereum. That's the first one to feed the market. Now let's dive into more altcoins. I'll be going over the list as I mentioned previously, this big list. So if you have any questions or would like to go over a specific altcoin, please let me know. I will be happy to add it. Meanwhile, I will hide the list and simply go for them by order. Of course, NWC is next. Let me take a little break. Cheers. Bukarik, first, Mark, cheers. Bukarik, when should be the best time to buy for long term? Now, well, yeah, well, we all know that we can't really answer this question, but of course, don't put all your eggs in one basket, and like divide your entries into multiple chunks, but don't add it don't add it blindly because like price is like cheap or around the support. Okay, that's second. Third, I'm still expecting more bearish movement before we see the big bullish movements, and it all depends on the price. Okay, as I showed you from the charts now for Bitcoin, if we break above the 1700, we'll be expecting further bullish movements. So like I personally take it step by step. Okay. Uh, So like Mag is answering a funny answer, but like it makes total sense. So yeah, like don't put it all in one chunk. Don't like just simply buy everything. Okay, so divide it into many altcoins, and for this altcoin, divide your entries into multiple bags. Don't enter it all immediately. Okay, at the same time, and always wait for the bulls to take over. A very simple strategy is to simply go to the daily time frame chart. Don't zoom into H4 time frame. Don't zoom into H1, M30, and so on. Stick to the big time frames. Wait for the break above the major high, and then like you can add some, and then wait for the next major high and add more, and so on. Okay. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm still checking the members talk. Meanwhile, let's continue. Of course, like keep in mind that we've got FOMC in 1 hour and 30 minutes. Let's move forward to NWC. We've got a big demand zone which has been right there around 0.02 to 0.05, which price is currently sitting inside. The 0.2, 0.02 is down there. In case we break below the 0.05, we'll be expecting further bearish movement. That's why I have my alert down there in case we drop lower. For now, I don't like what I see here. We've got these lows broken downward. So for the bulls to reclaim control now from a short-term perspective, I would like to see a break above this high, which is 0.055. Once we break above it, the bulls will take over from a short-term perspective. And then for the bulls to take over from a longer-term perspective, we need to see this break above this gray zone. It would be breaking above this big channel that we see. Okay, we lately rejected this channel and we are trading lower. This price action reminds me of this price action right there. But of course, for the bulls to take over, we need to see a break above the previous high, which is currently right there. Okay, so for this to happen, we need to see this break. That's it. Meanwhile, of course, from a short-term perspective, we are stuck inside this range. If we break below the 0.05, expect further bearish movement. If you break above the 0.055, expect a short-term bullish movement. And then if you break above this, expect longer-term bullish movement. Okay. Okay, let me see if Joseph is here. Joseph, okay, he is not here. He's always coming late, right? After we go over Galatasaray, right? Yes, yeah. So the bulls are still in control after we broke above this last high. Can't really say much except that. So now we are bullish. We have our impulse on the retest of it. It would be a correction, and we can also look for buy setups. That is for Galatasaray. On seed for Dear Boss for Mac. Um, as mentioned last week, Mac, I don't like how we broke below this previous major low. So we are currently bearish. we were previously bullish and now we are bearish. Next support would be around this area. If we retest this 5 round number, we'll be looking for buy setups. Like meanwhile, we are currently sitting in the middle of nowhere between this previous high, low, and this 5. So if we trade higher, we are bearish unfortunately now. So we'll be expecting these bearish movements unless we break above this 13, 12.5. In this case, we'll be expecting a bullish, big bullish movement. For now, we are here and then we'll be buying the correction, okay? And if we go a little bit lower, it would be even better to look for bust stops around the 5. Okay, Bukhari is asking about Lena. Okay, like DJ is like showing a good point. Very good point, DJ. Okay, Bukhari is asking about Lena. Let's add Lena. Hello Ace, hope you're doing good. Okay, so like just like whenever you can, please confirm that this is you who texted me. Yes, because like I don't know if this is you or someone using your account or someone similar with a similar username. Okay, because you know we can't trust anyone like these days on Discord. Okay, and Lena, let's check. I guess I have it on the list, right? We do have it. Where is Lena? Okay, yeah, that's it. Let's move it below. Got a seed. For Lena, yeah, I can't really say much. The drawings are the same. If you go to H4, yeah, let me make this one appear on H4. So for the push to take over now short term, we need to see a break above this orange zone again, and then a break above this blue one for the bulls to still in control from a medium term perspective. So short term bulls take over, and then medium term bulls take over to expect this movements. Meanwhile, we are bearish, and we can still we broke this low, which is not good, and we can still expect further bearish movement. Okay, let's wait. Let's move forward and go over the next one. CSZ. Okay, we're around this previous major low, which we can see here. If we break it downward, if we break below the 0.085, expect further bearish movement to around the 0.05. From daily time frame, we are rejecting the 0.1, which is a strong round number. And if you go to H4 time frame, this is it. We broke above this minor high, but was already took over from a short-term perspective. Right now, if we extend it, we can also see this previous high. So we're expecting now a short-term bullish movement, and if we break above this high, then the bulls will take over from a medium-term perspective, and we'll be expecting further bullish movements. Okay. Let me check my alerts. I'm getting a lot of alerts. Okay, let's move forward to Matic. We are currently around this support zone, and as mentioned last week, we'll be looking for buy setups, knowing that price can still test the 0.7 before we trade higher. So to confirm that the buyers are taking over, we need to see a break above the previous major high, which if we zoom into lower time frames, this would be it. And as you can see, my alert is right there. So I'm waiting for this break for the bulls to take over. Okay, next we've got ADA. We have been bearish trading inside this big channel, and for the bulls to take over, of course, from a long-term perspective, we need to see a break above this previous major high and also this upper trend line, as we clearly see in orange. Meanwhile, we are looking for the buy from a short-term perspective to catch a very similar movement to this bullish movement. If you zoom into lower time frames, we can see that we've got this major high right there, and my alert is still just above it. If we break it upward, we'll be expecting a short-term bullish movement. Yes, CryptoCat, I just covered Matic, yeah? Exactly. You want to go over it again? If you didn't catch it, I can do it again. Okay, Mac is asking about XLM. Let's check it out. Okay. XLM, we're approaching this demand zone right there. We are sitting like quite a little bit below it. If we keep on trading lower, this would be the next one around 0.05, the next support area. We are currently just below the 0.075, so I would like to see the buyers kicking in, breaking back above it to confirm it and taking over again, which you can see clearly from H4 time frame. This is my zone, this is my alert, as you see. So I'm waiting for this break for the bulls to take over from a short-term perspective. It would be also breaking above this trend line right there. I'll check the comments again, let me know. I'll wait for 1 minute. If no question pop up, I will move forward with my list. Okay, let's move forward with the list then. Okay, we covered XLM already, and we covered ADA previously. Now let's go over Atom. Okay. So on Atom, we rejected this 8.5, and if you remember previously, I mentioned multiple times that we'll be bullish or we'll be looking for buy setups as long as we don't break below the 8.5. So we didn't break below it, we rejected it, and we were looking for buy stops on lower time frames, if you remember, and we've got this last major high. So for the bulls now to take over from a medium term perspective, I would like to see this break above the zone. If we go to H4 time frame, this is it. This is the drawing from last week. So I was waiting for a break above this one, which is also previously we had this high, but for extra confirmation, I was waiting for this one to be broken. We broke it upward, we traded higher, and we are currently around this area. For the bulls to remain in control, I would like to see a break above it. Meanwhile, we can still make a correction before we break it upward. Okay, let's move forward to our next one. We've got sushi. We are currently around the demand zone, as you clearly see, and round number 1. And we're also from a daily time frame, from a structure perspective, we have been trading inside this big range. So this range now reminds me of this one right here. So I'm waiting for something like this, a big candle close above it, to speculate this big bullish movement. So I'm waiting for a daily close above this one, and then we'll be expecting a bullish movement. This is it. I can't really say much. This is a very clean one. We've got this double bottom pattern. Make it an orange, make an offset for it. That's it. If you break it higher, we'll be expecting a bullish movement. I got my alert right there. On ape, a very similar movement. We have been bearish inside this big channel. For the bulls to take over from a long-term perspective, I got my alerts right there, waiting for this break. If this happens, we'll be expecting a bigger bullish movement. For now, the bears can still kick in and drag it lower, just like previously. That's the power of starting from a higher time frame to know where we are. For the bears to take over to start the next bearish impulse movement lower, we need to see a break below the zone. If you break it downward, we'll be expecting bearish movement. For now, we are bullish and we can still trade lower and then higher, break it upward and keep on trading higher. On Link, also a big range. This one reminds me of sushi, as you see right there. So this is a very similar price action, and you can clearly compare it. You got this big one high and then trade it lower. Look at this. Here we go, big low, high, and then trade it lower again. So a big range around the 5. If you go lower a little bit, also be looking for bust stops. I have my alert around the 5. If you break the 5 downward, expect further bearish movement inside the 4 and this zone right there. But for now, let's take it step by step around the lower bound of this big range. That's why we are looking for buy setups. And as you can see, I've got my alert right there. For the bulls to take over, you need to see a break above this, and this wedge pattern, which already happened, as you see. But I'm also waiting for a break above this last major high, which you can see in orange. I mute myself for 30 seconds to take a sip and like to cough, and then we'll continue, okay? Okay, let's move forward to the next one. I don't know which one it would be. If you want a specific altcoin, please let me know in the members talk. I would be happy to go over it. So on Dogecoin, what's this? Oops, it's a big one. Why? I guess it's from weekly. Yeah, that's it. It's from weekly. So we have a big demand zone, as you see here, around 0.07 now, looking for bust ups. If you break the 0.07 downward, expect a movement to the 0.06, where we'll be looking for bust ups right there. For now, I'm looking for bust ups around the 0.07 because it's a resistance turn support, right? So I'm looking for this movement upwards. For the bulls to take over, previously we had this previous major high. Now, as you see from my alert, I also have one right there. Here we go, right? So this is it. So once we break it higher, I'll be expecting a bullish movement from here from a short-term perspective, and then from a medium-term perspective, a break after a break above this blue zone. Okay, so Shiba, Sand, and Mana. Let's do it. Okay, on Shiba, that's it. We are bearish right there. If we go lower, I have my alerts here. I'll be looking for bust stops. For now, we have a demand zone right there. That's why I'm looking for bust stops starting from here. But for the bulls to take over, I'm waiting, as you can see from my alert, a break above the zone. In this case, I'll be expecting a bullish movement. For now, this might be just a correction, and if we break it downward, we'll be expecting further bearish movements. For now, I'm waiting for this or for this. Next, as per the request of we've got sand and mana. Let's go for sand first. Okay, approaching this big demand zone, which you can see here, around 0.2 to 0.4 if you want. If you zoom into daily time frame, I get my alert around 0.3. That's my alert right there. Okay, if you trade lower, I'll be looking for bus stops here. And also, as you see from my alert right there, I have it above this major high. Oops, clicked on this one by mistake. So that's it. For the bullish takeover, we need to see a break above it to trade higher. Of course, this is from a short-term perspective. Meanwhile, we are bearish, and this would be just a correction. We might push lower till this low, where we'll be looking for basket ups as well. Okay, let's go over, I guess, mana, right? You ask for mana. Let me check. Yeah, on mana, previously we have this high that we want to break above. Didn't happen, as you see. So let's delete this one. And we have this support or demand already broken. Support, yeah, broken downward. Now our next rejection would be around 0.02 to 0.03, this entire demand zone. Let me add the 3 as 2.5 if you want. Okay, but yeah, you can also go to the 3, 0.3. So that's it, and this 3 would be where price is currently at. This is an entire demand zone from daily time frame. And as you can see from my alert, I have this one inside the demand zone, and the second alert is above the previous major high, which is clearly this one. That's my alert. And previously we had this trend line right there, broken downward as a falling broadening wedge. Anyway, waiting for this high to be broken. Okay, like no more requests, so let me continue with my list. We were on, I guess we've done Link, we've done, yeah, on Solana, the famous one, like, which is like for this week. Okay, this is the last major high around 15. Let me extend it. As you can see from my alert, as you can see in red, I'm already in Solana. I bought around this area, and now I'm planning to add more if we break above this 15. I previously bought where? Let me see. Yeah, this is it. So after this aggressive break, I've entered here because like I wished I could have entered right there above these highs, but the candle was very aggressive, right? So like I just saw it right there, and anyway the candle was big, and I always wait for the candle to close before I jump in. And anyway, I'm happy with the entry. So price, the bulls reclaimed the 10 round number, and we traded higher from there. For now, we even broke above this minor support, so now it's acting, sorry, resistance, now it's acting as a support. If we break it downward, expect bearish movement, but for now we are here back inside this range, as you see here. If we break it higher, we'll be expecting further bullish movement. Mask, as you see, I'm also already holding. So like whenever you see red, it means that I'm already holding. So a resistance right there turns support. That's why I was looking for bus stops. And anyway, I've mentioned it here. If you watch the previous previous session, but I'm waiting for the bulls to take over after breaking above this high. and I've added some after a break above this high right here. So I've added some here, and I'm planning to add more if we break above this major high. Meanwhile, it might be a big inverse head and shoulders. We might be seeing this before we break it higher again. Okay, near. Also, as you can see in red. Um, now I've already bought right there, and I'm planning to add more longs if we break above this area. Okay, this is the last major high, and also another alert right there around the 1. In case we drop lower, it would be also a good round number and the lower bound of this big demand zone. Cheers. So for now, we still have 10 minutes. If you have any questions or want to request a specific altcoin, please let me know in the members talk area. I would be happy to answer it. Meanwhile, let's continue with our list. But keep in mind that we still have 10 minutes, so feel free to ask it now if you would like uh, to go for a specific one. So on Maker MKR a demand zone right there. I still didn't buy. As you can see, it's like still light blue, so I'm still planning to buy, but I'm not holding yet. So a demand zone right there, waiting for the bulls to take over. As you can see, I've got 2 alerts right here. And in case we drop lower, I have my alert around the 400 or like 350, 375. Um, for this one, of course, like from a long-term perspective, I'll be waiting for a break above this major high and so on. But now from a short-term perspective, I'm planning to get in down there. So I was waiting for this to be broken. This to be broken didn't happen. We kept moving lower and lower and lower, right? So now I'm waiting for this one. What is it? That's it. That's my alert. And we had a channel. It's broken now. And we've got this one right here. Okay, so that's my first alert. I'll be adding like a little bit, and then I'll be adding some more here, and then I'll be adding some more right there. Okay, so I always divide my entries in 1/3, right? So third, and then the last third would be here. Or you can go with like half, and then the second half is here. Okay, but like I personally like to go for like 1/3. Okay, or third, right? And then we trade lower from here, and then I'll be adding the second, third, maybe if we see any high, right? Broken upward right there. Or if we trade lower, I'll be looking for a third here. And anyway, like if we break below this one, I will close my buy if I ever bought here. So it's like I will take this loss, and then this would be it. Okay, because we are in a bearish market. Okay. So that's it for MKR. On XMR, that's it. Big range for the bulls to take over. We need to see a break above this high. If we trade lower, you see my alert here. I'll be looking for bust setups down there. Can't really add much for this one, so let's move forward. On DOT, very similar to many altcoins. Long-term perspective, waiting for a break above this 7. But meanwhile, of course, we are here, so we're looking for bust up, especially if you go to daily time frame, weekly time frame, we're around this demand zone between 4 and 5. So the 5 is a very important like round number to me, and it has been holding previously, especially as this previous low and this previous lows, as you noticed, tend to be respected. For example, this low has been respected here. You can see from the zone, and this low has been respected here. Okay, and maybe this low would be respected now and we kick lower from here. But anyway, I'm planning to add some longs on dot. That's my zone, that's my alert, and another alert above the 5. Okay, flow. Okay, flow, as you can see, it's in red, so I've I've bought some after this break. The 0.5 is a strong round number, and if we go till here, I'll be looking also for basket ups. Can't really say much for now. I'm waiting for this break to add more longs above the 0.8. Okay, we already went over Shiba, right? So Reef. Inside a big demand zone. 0.02. 0.002 is a strong round number. I have my alert right there. And I'm planning to buy this one if we break above this 0.0025. Meanwhile, this would be a correction, and if we break it lower, we'll be expecting further bearish movement. Okay, on Telcoin, okay, so we got a big support here. The price is currently sitting around, waiting for the bulls to take over again. If we break it downward, we'll be expecting further bearish movement. If you go to H4 time frame, this is the last major high, but I have already my alert right there, as you see. So it's not this high. For extra confirmation, I went for a little bit higher to cover this one right there. So I have my alert right here, as you noticed. Okay, so I'm waiting for this break. You know what? Let me a little bit lower. That's it. So I'll be adding some after we have this break, and then I'll be adding some more after we have this break above this zone. Meanwhile, if we break below these lows, we'll be expecting further bearish movement, just like here. Okay, so someone is expecting BNB, of course. Let's do BNB. Okay, Bukarik, fantastic. Okay, BNB. So around the support here, looking for bar setups. As you can see, I've got too many alerts. I'm already in on BNB, and we've got this. Let me delete. Let me make it clean a little bit. Extend this one. Put this one right here. That's it. Fantastic. And lower bound of the support is right there. Okay. For the boost to take over, we need to see a break above this previous support turned resistance. On lower time frames, I personally like added some after we broke above this range. And yeah, can't really say much. We have a supply here, so it might be pushing the price lower. If we break it upward, it would be a good signal the buyers are taking over. Yeah. Yeah, I knew that you were going to ask about that, DJ. So anyway, I have it on my list since you asked about it many times. So I've added it to my list anyway. So okay, I'm not sure which one is the last one for today. Let me check. We were on Tel. Let's go for Algo, right? Okay. So hopefully this is the last one for today. For Algo, as in red, as you see, we have this zone from last week. If you remember, we have this zone from last week, and they said that if you break it higher, we'll be expecting a bullish movement. I'm personally holding from here for a short-term buy because we still have this bearish trend. So as if you break above it in an aggressive manner, I'll be looking to add more longs on for Algo. I'm just holding 1/3 now inside the zone because we can still trade lower from here. If I see any kind of reversal now, I'll be closing this trade. For example, we have a channel right there that I have on my watch list. On my here we go, and that's it. So if we break below this channel, we'll be expecting bearish movements. For now, we are bullish, and if we break above the 0.2, we'll be expecting a longer term bullish movement. Okay. So that's it for today, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it. And of course, as mentioned, after 1 hour we have FOMC, so be very, very, very careful. Wishing you a lovely night and be safe, trade safe, and most importantly, enjoy the process. Uh, yeah, you're more than welcome, guys. I'm very happy that you are enjoying it. Dear DJ Mac Mutlu, right? Mutlu, Bukarek, DJ again. Okay, fantastic, Ace. Okay, hopefully I'll text you soon. G Sam J, Mark, Dusty Jabs, Ishanam. Happy to see you all guys here. Be safe, trade safe, have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you hopefully soon. Goodbye, everyone.